Greetings, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I have drifted into the underworld. The Star Wars Underworld. I have a bad feeling about this.
Here we go. We must go to the lower levels. The underworld.
You've taken your first step into a larger world.
You're after something.
Ben.
Since I've started the underworld, I've met so many great friends.
Chris.
I grew up in the 1990s, and mall packaging is nostalgic for me.
Dominic.
What I love most about Star Wars is that it's fun and it's all-round good times.
So, this is where the fun begins.
May the Force be with us.
This thing really moves!
Whoa! I like this!
I can't believe you came all this way to see me.
Why am I not in the intro? I gotta come up with a snappy line.
What's up, Star Wars fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Star Wars Underworld Podcast. We are your source for the latest breaking Star Wars news, reviews, and discussion each and every week. And this week, we're going to be talking about the hunt for Ben Solo. We'll be discussing the Star Wars movie that almost was, plus plenty more exciting Star Wars news, tidbits, and hashtag Ask the SWU questions. My name is Chris, and joining me, it's Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy.
How's it going, everybody? Good to be back. And I should mention that my first exposure to this week's big story was in a group chat where our very good friend, Chad, sent a screen cap of an Instagram post and didn't have the top of the post, so it didn't show like where it was coming from. And so my first thought was, Chad, why are you falling for fake news? You know better than this. Really, the hunt for Ben Solo, really, this is the thing you're falling for? Like, you actually think it's real? Come on, Chad. Oh wait.
I would have thought that too. I would have thought it was an AI generated script for sure. Sounds just like it.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about the very real hunt for Ben Solo, and also joining us to help us do that, it's my good friend, Mr. Dominic Jones.
Hello, Chris. Hello, Ben. Hello, everybody. So this is the second time in the last 2 months that I have said, I'm going to miss next week's show. And then something has happened in the week in between that made me go, okay, I will appear for a few minutes at the top before I got to get out of here because I need to talk about this thing that happened. First, of course, was Mando Grogu trailer. And now we got this, the hunt for Ben Solo. I know you guys are going to talk a lot about this. You're going to go real in depth on it and you're going to like really break it down. I don't have time for that. I gotta go. I literally am gonna talk about this and jet off to my next thing. But I needed to get in here to talk about this. So very quickly, if somehow you have been living under a rock for the last week and you were unaware of this story, Adam Driver, he who played Ben Solo / Kylo Ren, he did an interview with the Associated Press where he told them all about how he wanted to make another Star Wars movie. And he came up with an idea for a movie that was set after The Rise of Skywalker that would have explored Ben Solo further and would have revealed that he was still alive. He got as far as getting a director, Steven Soderbergh, on board to help develop this movie, and then Soderbergh was going to direct the movie. He took it to Lucasfilm, he pitched it to Dave Filoni, Carrie Beck, and Kathleen Kennedy. They all loved it. They took it to Disney, to Bob Iger, to Alan Horn, to pitch it to them, and those guys killed it. And this all begs a question that I have been asking a lot in the last year in particular. And that is, what the fuck is going on at Disney? What is happening over there? Because you have one of the most talented and most sought after actors in Hollywood who already made 3 movies for you, who you tried to make into one of the most iconic characters in your marquee franchise. That Kylo Ren mask was everywhere from 2015 to 2019. He comes to you at a time when most actors, after they do their trilogy, say, you know what, I'm done for a little bit. He comes to you and says, no, I actually want to do more. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get one of the best directors of the last 30 years on board to make this movie with me. It will be lower budget than the last movies that you made, and we are going to make it. And he took it to the current regime in Kathleen Kennedy at Lucasfilm and the future regime in Dave Filoni and Carrie Beck. I think this pretty much seals the deal that those guys are taking over once Kathy is ready to retire. And they're on board. And then they take it to the CEO of Disney, and the CEO of Disney says no. And apparently his reason was he couldn't understand how Ben Solo was alive. To which I would ask Bob Iger, did you not watch these movies and shows that you've produced over the years? If this was in 2022 or 2021, 3 years earlier, somehow Palpatine returned. A year before that, the movie Solo ends with Darth Maul, a character who very memorably died at the end of The Phantom Menace and was supposed to never come back. Yes, he came back in Clone Wars, but to the general audience, they don't know that. And 2020, Boba Fett, another character who very famously died, is still alive in your shows. How can you not wrap your head around the idea that these characters come back? And it just illustrates that so many of the issues that we've had with Star Wars for the last 5-10 years, I think the blame has been misplaced. The blame has been misplaced because Kathleen Kennedy has been out there taking all the slings and arrows for Bob Iger and all of his mistakes. Look, is it fair to criticize Kathleen Kennedy? Sure. She made mistakes. Almost certainly. Everybody is human. We all make mistakes. But Iger, in the last few years, has shown himself to just be borderline incompetent at his job. And it's not just this. Like this isn't even the straw that broke the camel's back. This is like the straw that dug the grave for the camel that was already dead. It's just, frankly, bizarre. And, here's the thing about Bob Iger. He, perhaps more than anybody else, embodies the phrase, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And we'll put that into sort of more CEO-friendly terms. You either retire a hero or you live long enough to see yourself come back and ruin your own reputation, ruin your company. Look, I was at D23 in 2015, 2017, and 2019. This dude was a friggin' rock star. He walked out on stage. You would have thought it was the most famous. You would have thought it was Taylor Swift walking out on stage, not the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company. He was such a star, and people so admired him and admired his leadership. And look, I'm not trying to take away from what he accomplished in that first round, but he had the opportunity to just fade away into the background and live up with that legacy. And he was, even when he did step away, he was kind of quietly undermining his successor. And I'm not saying that Bob Chapek did a good job or that I think Bob Chapek should be CEO of Disney. I don't. He didn't. But Iger was there basically running whisper campaigns against Chapek. Chapek was in a fight with Scarlett Johansson. Iger's telling the press, or Iger's friends are telling the press, oh, he's upset. He never would have done that. Chapek drops the ball with the whole Florida thing and the Don't Say Gay bill and not standing up to Ron DeSantis. What's Iger doing? He's whispering to the press, his friends in the press. Oh, no. I would have been different. Hey, it would have been different. In his interim period, goes on Jon Stewart's show and talks about all the things he would do while running the ABC newsroom. He comes back. And almost immediately after he comes back, becomes the face of the anti-labor movement in Hollywood. He's the face, along with David Zaslav and a few of the other ones, of the people that were fighting against the writers union and the actors unions. He's in his billion-dollar estates talking about, they're making such unrealistic requests. They're asking for too much. They need to be more realistic. Meanwhile, he could probably pay all of them with just the money he made selling that property that he did that interview from. He does that, follows that up by capitulating on multiple occasions to the wannabe authoritarian in the White House. He chooses to not fight on behalf of his talent in George Stephanopoulos and settle a lawsuit paying $16 million to Trump. And what did that get you, Bob? What did that get you? Didn't take you out of the crosshairs. Because who was his next target? Who was Trump's next target at Disney? Jimmy Kimmel. And they wanted Kimmel gone. They wanted Kimmel gone 10 years ago, the Trump people. They wanted him gone in his first term. And what did that $16 million get you? Nothing. And you capitulate again. And it's only when people started canceling their Disney Plus subscriptions that you realized, oh, wait, maybe I'm doing something wrong here. And now we're hearing that the other part of the job that you were supposed to be good at, of recognizing talent, recognizing creative, interesting ideas. You're not even good at that. You're not even good at that. Adam Driver and Steven Soderbergh walk into a room and say, we want to make a Star Wars movie. And you say no. How is this guy still the head of Disney? How is he still the head of anything? Yes, he is, just the embodiment of so much that is wrong. And yes, this is maybe a little ridiculous to be this upset over a Star Wars movie that didn't happen. But come on, this is where the politics and culture meet, right? Because this is where the impacts of having someone who is not interested in creativity, is not interested in art, is not interested in doing interesting and exciting things for the audience at the head of a company that basically controls the industry that does it. This is where that becomes a problem, because he's not interested in making new things. He's looking to squeeze every dollar out of what he already has. So he's protecting himself with short-term harm by capitulating to Trump and his cronies. He's trying to save himself every little dollar here by pissing off the actors and the writers. And then he can't even see a new interesting idea. Instead, he's just happy to keep raising the prices at the Disney parks, squeezing every dime out of these families that want to go there and create the magical experience that you sold to them for decades. It's an embarrassment. It's really such a sad state of affairs. And I have to thank Adam Driver for coming out and being the one to put all of this together for us, put the final piece of the puzzle on the table so that we can put it all together. Because had he not done this, had we just sort of vaguely started to hear rumors about, oh, there was going to be a Ben Solo movie, again, we would have been like, there's Kathy not knowing how to run her company. George would have never, blah, blah, blah. Well, I said all that stuff. But Adam spelled it out for us. It wasn't Kathy. It wasn't Dave. It wasn't Carrie. It was some guy named Bob. So, channeling one of the icons of the prequel trilogy, allow me to say, I call for a vote of no confidence in the leadership of Bob Iger. Am I a Disney shareholder? No. Do I have any power in this matter? No. But this is insane to me, and we have been robbed of what almost certainly would have been a fascinating, entertaining, and great Star Wars movie. I hope that the fan momentum somehow manages to reignite the passion and the interest for this project, either with Bob Iger or whoever his successor is, and that maybe one day we'll actually get something interesting out of Disney again, because right now they're squeezing every dollar out of the nostalgia. I was at D23 last year. Sequel, spin-off, sequel, remake, sequel, remake. Didn't seem like there was an original idea there. And that'll work for now, Bob. All us people that grew up with the original stuff, we'll show up for a sequel. We got the nostalgia. For the people that are growing up now, what are they going to be nostalgic for? Because they don't have new ideas. They don't have new things to get excited about. That's why something like K-pop Demon Hunters can come out of nowhere and be such a big hit. It's because that's actually appealing to kids, actually appealing to people that they will then be nostalgic. And 20 years from now, we'll get K-pop Demon Hunters, the remake, the live action reboot, something, whatever, the AI generated some shit. But without new things, there's nothing for people to be nostalgic for in the future. And you won't be able to drain every dollar out of the people in the future with nostalgia, the same boring card you've been playing over and over again. So thank you, Adam Driver. I hope you get to make your movie. Please keep your friend Steven Soderbergh on speed dial. Let's make this happen. Bring back the hunt for Ben Solo. I don't really get into like fan campaigns and that sort of thing. I know somebody flew a banner over San Francisco. I think was it San Francisco or LA with it.
It was Burbank.
Burbank. Okay, a stunt like that's fun. It gets some interest. It gets some attention, but that's not really going to change Bob Iger's mind. He's not going to look out his window and be like, "Oh, it's a sign." He's gonna see it. It's really just it's time for new leadership is needed, and it's not new leadership at Lucasfilm, although that's probably coming too. So that's all I had to say. I see the rest of my time, Your Honor, and will now make my exit. And just say, see everybody next week. Let's go Blue Jays.
Can't wait.
Love it.
Amazing rant. Somebody clip that.
What else can we say after that? What else can we say? I think we could just end it right there. That was 15 minutes of just amazingness.
Well,
thank you, Dom, for that.
Let's. I think what we can do is just go into a little bit more depth about what the movie was going to be about. That's probably the details that weren't covered there. It's just what would this have been?
Well, yeah, and also I want to start with my big takeaway, and I'm not the first person to say this, but my big takeaway from this was that Adam Driver is interested. He was the one spearheading this. And I think we just have this tendency. We have this thing about us that we've been in this long enough. We know these actors, for various reasons, get put through the ringer, both in making these movies, pouring their heart and soul into the production, and also getting just harassed and stuff by the fans. And by the time they're done with it, we saw this on the Rise of Skywalker press tour of like Oscar Isaac talking about how he doesn't want to do this anymore. He doesn't, unless he needs another house. He's not going to be doing another Star Wars movie anytime soon. And there was similar things. I think like Adam Driver. I remember specifically him talking about like how much he hated going to Comic-Con. He seemed like a very introverted person, weirdly very similar to his on-screen father, Harrison Ford, just in how much he kind of behaves and how much he doesn't seem to enjoy all the press and stuff like that. He's excellent, one of the best actors working today, but he's just not into that. So I think, and maybe he said some other things, I don't know, I haven't gone back and things, but I think the general consensus that we believed, maybe cynically, was that Adam Driver wanted nothing to do with this character. He wanted nothing to do with Star Wars. He wanted to move on and do something, which, fair enough. He's been doing some amazing things, and he's got a great, a future ahead of him. He's like genuinely one of the best actors on this planet right now. He's so good, and he's one of the best parts of the sequel trilogy. So to have this news come out that he was the one saying, "Hey, Kathy, put me in, coach. I'm ready to play," and do this, and have this story and say how much he loved Ben Solo, how much he loved Kylo Ren, how much he loved playing this character, and to continue on with that blew me away. That was just like, oh my God. Why? Again, it's just like it added salt in the wound of just like, why not say yes? Adam wants back in. Why are you saying no to him? Just crazy. But yeah, I'll stop ranting because I know you, Chris, feel free to, I don't know what your initial thoughts on this, and obviously want to get into the actual, like, what would the story be?
Yeah, I'm very interested to discuss the specifics of it. I think in general, the only thing that I can add, other than just echoing what you and Dom have said already and saying I agree with it, is that this also underscores that issue that I've been talking about for a while about them being very shy to do anything in that sequel era, and how that's kind of hurt the franchise because they've kind of marooned those three films on an island by themselves. And they're, I know there's a Rey movie eventually coming, but that also looks to be jumping way potentially ahead in the timeline as well. And so here was, a perfect opportunity to continue that story very directly with a key character from that story and keep everybody's minds in the era. And it's something that didn't happen. So it kind of begs the question of like, is this the only example of a really good idea for a sequel era film or TV show that's been shut down? Or are there more of them as well? Are there, as Gwendolyn Christie have an idea for a Phasma story, and then it's like, Bob, no, we can't do that. You died. And So that makes me curious as well, because I keep asking like that if I had like one question to ask Bob Iger, I think a very strong candidate would be, why did you greenlight 3 Star Wars movies and then set your theme park in that era and then only put out a short-lived animated show to support it, and that's it? Like, why? It makes no sense. Why do you then keep going back to the prequels and the Dark Times and the original trilogy, and it's just stuff that's like incredibly saturated that we appreciate, but why do you just keep going back to that era again and again and again when it's taken 10 years to establish a new era, and then you just drop it like that? So this is just adds to that conversation of like, why are they not sticking with building that new foundation for future generations of Star Wars?
Yeah, it's definitely a bad look for Disney, like this whole situation. Not and just take away all those like people want this, where they don't want this, whatever else. Just the simple fact of, we've all, I'm just speaking for me personally, I've gone to bat maybe in Disney's corner from time to time, saying that Lucasfilm is the one making the decisions. Kathleen Kennedy is the one who's greenlighting this stuff and making those decisions, and is the one all while knowing that, yes, Bob Iger was going to be the one signing off on this stuff, that, Alan Horn, all these guys at Disney, they would ultimately have things. But, it felt like, and based on interviews and stuff like that and stuff you've heard, that there was mostly free reign for these filmmakers, and specifically for Lucasfilm, to kind of do what they wanted. This destroys that. This is a blatant thing. That obviously there is two sides to every story, and maybe Bob Iger's version of things, if he ever tells it, is different. But an actor saying, "Hey, look, I pitched this idea, I scripted it with a team, I gave it to Lucasfilm, and they said, yes, go for it, and we support you in this." And then Disney coming in and going, "Well, we don't understand this." No, that's not good. That's not a good line of thought here. So that is really disappointing. And, as you said, like, what other times has this happened? There was a story that came out, I think it was yesterday or today, about David Fincher, who there was a report about him pitching another movie in this era after Rise of Skywalker, apparently, and it wasn't to this degree. It was about, there was a disagreement, maybe he wanted a final cut, whatever else, and that's just, the negotiations fell through. It didn't happen, which that has obviously happened a lot. Like, you have negotiations when all parties aren't on the same page. That happens, but you have to wonder, and you have to consider, how many others have been nixed by Disney because Bob Iger didn't understand it, which is just, as Dom so eloquently put it, like, it just does not make any sense from no matter how you look at this. So it's obviously disappointing from that perspective. It's also disappointing of just like, this movie sounds really good. This movie is something like one of my biggest takeaways from the Rise of Skywalker. One of my biggest disappointments was, why did you have to kill off Ben Solo? He was doing so good there for a hot minute. Probably one of my favorite parts of that movie is things, and rewatching some of the scenes after this news came out, I'm like, oh God, Adam Driver is so good as Ben Solo. Not Kylo Ren, as Ben Solo. He's so good as that character. He doesn't get very much to play with, but he does. And more of that, more of a things, and kind of what I feel is rectifying a problem with the movie, which is kind of, what happens. I think the hunt for Ben Solo is straight up riffing on the search for Spock. I think this is not unprecedented, taking a beloved kind of character and then killing them off, and then the creators going like, oopsie, we're going to do something different now. We're going to bring them back. Like, not unprecedented. I understand, we don't want to like make it crazy, but I don't think it's crazy, honestly.
Not at all.
So, I don't know. We can get into, I don't know what, you asked the question earlier. What do we think this movie would have been? Do you have an idea on what this movie could have been? Because I kind of like, I think we all have this, like, after Rise of Skywalker, he comes back somehow. It's like a spiritual journey. what happens? Did he secretly get transported to the world between worlds instead of this? Like, I always thought it was suspicious that his body disappears, but he's not a Force ghost with Luke and Leia at the end. Like, where is he? Where is he at the end of Rise of Skywalker? Like, I always thought that was a kind of a hint towards, like, well, something's going on here. So I don't know what to think of that. And obviously, and Adam Driver says it was quote, like, the best effing script he's ever read. So, like, that's saying something. He's been around the block.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I think, like, you have a very, like, Ben Solo is supposed to be the reverse Darth Vader. Like, Darth Vader is this character that gets stronger and stronger in the dark side, and as he goes along, he kind of gets more and more evil and twisted, and like a slave to the Emperor and the dark side. And the concept of Ben Solo is instead a character that starts off really strong, but then gets weaker and weaker and weaker and falters. And so what you kind of have there is you have a natural progression where you could then reverse that, where after the redemption of Ben Solo, you could actually see his character get stronger for once and not weaker, and get more sure of himself instead of less sure of himself, have less conflict instead of more conflict. So you can reverse that, you can mirror image that. So I think there was a great example, or like a great opportunity for the character to grow in that direction. And, once over on the light side, start off, as someone who's just coming off of a lot of conflict and is very weak, but then get stronger and stronger and more sure of themselves and more confident in the light side as he continued. So I think that would have been a very interesting character development story to kind of continue the trajectory and reverse it in a sense from what it was before. So I don't know. I wonder if that's what the interesting aspect is that Adam Driver is referring to as cool there. But that's one concept I have for just his character development.
Yeah, I think I have to go back to, like, my kind of initial thoughts on Rise of Skywalker, and specifically, Ben Solo. And, that was a disappointment for me, like, seeing, like, that character, like, some of the most triumphant moments in that movie is, like, him and Rey standing together, him saving Rey, him bringing Rey back to life. Like, those are great moments. And to see him fade away was really disappointing in the moment. And I think, you have this, I think, we had Darth Vader, we had Anakin Skywalker, and we've that redemption story has been a part of Star Wars for so long. But I think there's been a lot of counterpoints to, like, well, what is redemption? What does redemption actually mean? I think Vader's story kind of sums up as, like, no matter how far down the dark path you can go, you can still make that right choice in the end. Was Vader's, did Vader make up for all of the bad things that he did? Did Anakin, get fully redeemed? I think that may be something that's up for debate. And you have Ben Solo / Kylo Ren did a lot of nasty stuff. The first 5 minutes we see him, he massacres a whole village. Like, he orders the destruction of Hosnian Prime. Like, does a lot of really bad stuff on top of killing his own father, and is party to a lot of destruction and death. Did he make up for that with just, being able to stand against the Emperor and save Rey in the end? Obviously everyone's going to have their different perspective on that. My interpretation, my hope for the end of that character would be, like, let him, like, because I understand, like, taking him back to the jungle base, being like, hey, look, guys, it's Kylo Ren. It's like, no, that wouldn't fly over. That wouldn't fly over bringing, Ben Solo back to the Resistance base after this guy has been fighting against them all this time. But let him go off into the galaxy and maybe be this lone wolf type character, which I think was originally kind of a concept that they floated for like Return of the Jedi, that Luke at the end was going to be kind of a little bit mysterious. He's going to go off and be a little dark and kind of a lone wolf type of character at the end. I like that idea for Ben Solo, someone like, going off and maybe helping people in small ways and making up for that and spending some time away. Now I'm wondering, what's that going to be, and how does this interface with the Rey Skywalker movie, New Jedi Order, all this stuff? We know that stuff is happening. This is on top of the things that we've known have been in production for a while. So, there's a lot of conspiracy theories, a lot of stuff floating around, people drawing conclusions, perhaps founded, perhaps unfounded. Charmine Obey-Chinoy was on Instagram, just shared a random quote, not even a Star Wars quote, just a quote. People were like, "Oh my gosh, she's doing the thing," and maybe she was. I don't know, but it does stand to reason. Like, could they backdoor pilot this thing? If they said no to Adam Driver, but Adam Driver still is like, "Put me in, coach," that's a vehicle to like, well, let's do this New Jedi Order thing. And oh, by the way, here's Adam Driver as Ben Solo. And oh, by the way, he's alive. And we tell that story down the line. And obviously the next question is this even possible to get this greenlit again? Because a lot of people, I think, are putting pressure, as has been shown with the airplane with the banner behind it. I couldn't believe it when I saw it.
Oh man, if you lived in LA, you'd know how many random things get on banners on airplanes.
Oh, I can imagine.
It's actually quite frequent, shockingly. And half the time you're like, I have no idea what this is talking about.
What does it say?
There's definitely a few companies that are not too expensive that do this, or make symbols in the air too with like the smoke.
Oh yeah, the skywriting. Yeah,
the skywriting, that's very popular too. Like they did that for Fantastic Four, and they were doing like random hearts in the air the other day. And we're like, why are they making random hearts in the air? We didn't understand. But anyway, yeah, no, that's very true. And it brings up the question. Okay, is now the character Ben Solo the new Mara Jade? Like Mara Jade was under George Lucas the character that you would never see, and now is Ben Solo now the character that under Bob Iger now we can't see. Like is this a kind of a similar situation here? So that's really really interesting. I'm also kind of curious. Yeah, I'm also kind of curious too why there wasn't a version of the pitch that took place before he died, just to be safe. Like, he was alive for a while before he died. You could have done other Ben Solo stories, or Kylo Ren stories. You don't necessarily have to do one sequentially after the ones that came before. So that kind of, I'm curious about why that was an attempt too, as well.
Yeah, again, we're all speculating here. What is in this script? What is in the script that Adam Driver thought was so incredible and simultaneously Bob Iger thought was so befuddling that he wouldn't greenlight it? I'm fascinated by that. I'm fascinated that and that's the other shock. Just like, obviously a lot of again, like, it sounded fake. The hunt for Ben Solo, like, it does sound like a fake. It sounds like fan fiction. It sounds like some, fan fiction that you would find on a dark corner of the internet. And yet this is a real thing that Adam Driver pitched, not somebody else like trying to get Adam Driver on board. This is Adam Driver doing this with David Soderbergh, like two prestigious names in Hollywood, trying to get this off the ground. And it's wild that, that all this speculation and obviously people that really were invested in the character of Ben Solo, they didn't want him to die. They were very disappointed that he died, coming up with all these reasons about what if he survived, blah, blah, blah. To know that to know that those same conversations was happening behind the scenes, that they saw that. I don't know if they were influenced by all the fan outpouring of support for that character, but I sure hope they're influenced now, because as we all know, some lunatic, some absolutely depraved person, just crazy stuff. Someone created a petition to greenlight this movie, and I don't even know why anyone would even imagine to create such a thing. But yeah, it's doing pretty good. Last I heard.
I wonder how many people need to sign it in order for like Bob Iger to make an official statement about it. I remember back in the day when I think Barack Obama was president, if 100,000 people signed a petition on the White House website, like Barack Obama would make an official statement about it. Like they didn't have to do it on it. Yeah, but they had to at least say something.
That was
about
the
it.
whitehouse.gov like petitioning system.
Yeah.
And there was the Death Star one, wasn't there? Make a Death Star.
I think that's how we found out about it. Yeah, because there was a Star Wars thing there. Yeah, so like I wonder like how many people, like how many hundreds of thousands or millions of people have to sign this for Bob Iger to actually either directly have to make a comment about it, or just to be like such a big story that like reporters who are like interviewing him start asking him about it. Like that would be so interesting.
I mean, and something that keeps popping up in my feed is that dumb petition that's a bunch of like, and it's only 50,000 people asking NFL to replace Bad Bunny with George Strait at the Super Bowl. And I'm like, 50,000 is not that many. It feels like not that many signatures to get. And yet every news site in the world is like, oh, we've got 50,000 signature, 50,000, or maybe even less than that. And I'm just like, well, maybe this isn't so hard. Maybe we can actually.
Those people need to leave their house or leave their town.
Yeah, I don't want to even get into that. I don't even want to entertain that. I'm just using that as that's a ridiculous example. This is a very reasonable example.
Yeah, no, but that's a good point. Yeah, if 50,000 people can think something dumb like that, then certainly more than 50,000 people can want a Ben Solo movie. That is a very good point. So yeah, maybe I think it's just a little bit of positive media coverage from some big publications away from getting into those numbers. Just a matter of I guess that's the thing. I was like, we might not have 100,000 people listening to our podcast, but I can guarantee you at least one person listening to our podcast, if not the live show or YouTube, probably on like the whatever Apple Podcasts is called now feed, works for some type of like online news publication that gets like hundreds of thousands of readers, and I bet they could make a little quick article, about that petition.
I know. Shout out to Star Wars Newsnet. You know who you are over there. They gave the petition a shout out, and also the entire Reylo fandom across social media has just been embracing it and things, and really pushing it far. So thank you for that, Reylos.
I'm kind of surprised that you didn't put a blue butterfly emoji in the text.
I mean, it might still. I mean, who knows? Maybe that's an idea. It's still editable. Okay, I can still do what I want.
I just thought of that now because I was just made aware of the Reylo.
Occasionally, I will. Anytime I see the blue butterfly, I'm like, Reylo. That's the Reylo butterfly. I don't care what Apple thinks it is. That's the Reylo butterfly.
That's what that means.
I don't know. I'm so like, I want to talk about this all night because it's so like, I've been so giddy with like just the thinking about this and knowing that this happened and all this kind of stuff, but I don't know where to go from here. And obviously Dom's rant was just like perfection.
I don't think this is the last we're going to hear of this story. Like, think about every other canceled Star Wars project and how much we talk about it. And then when things come out about it, like 5, 10, 15 years later, like, I think this is now another story that will continue giving throughout the future. And I'm just really interested to see the first time that like people actually start asking like key people questions at press conferences or interviews about this, because it's gonna happen at some point.
Well, the comment section on Bob Iger's Instagram has been nothing but Ben Solo stuff. for the past few days. So whoever, I'm assuming it's not Bob, whoever is running Bob Iger's Instagram, RIP your mentions, because yeah.
And wasn't there like a very oddly timed publication on like the Star Wars YouTube channel of like the scene where he dies?
Like, what was that yesterday? Yesterday, as of recording this, they put out just a clip. They will do this to quell the conspiracy brain people, which this is very suspicious that they did this. But like, they will put out clips. They'll put out on the official Star Wars YouTube channel. They'll put out clips, stuff like that. They'll do this on social media too. Like, this is not out of the ordinary for them to just post a clip from a movie or whatever else. But like, the last clip they posted was of Star Wars Visions, like a previous thing, or maybe it was something for the upcoming season. And that makes sense. Like, obviously they're promoting Visions right now. But then they yesterday they post the scene of Rey and Ben versus Sidious on Exegol in the Rise of Skywalker, and everyone's collectively going, what the hell are you doing? This is really suspicious, guys. Either you scheduled this and this was like weeks ago, and this is like the most ironic thing that could ever happen, or somebody, Swagman, knows what they're doing and they are stoking the flames of this. I am so fascinated.
Yeah, that's pretty random because, let's see, that movie came out in December of 2019. There's not like a key anniversary for it. There's no real.
I mean, we got a couple months before, like, I think it will just be like 7 years this year would be the Rise of Skywalker's 6. Yeah. So, yeah, it doesn't make any sense out of context, really.
No.
Obviously, if this hadn't happened, no one would think twice about it. But that now that this has happened, and they know it, you guys behind the scenes, Lucasfilm, you know what's going on. You've seen this. Wow. So this is fascinating, and I don't think it's going away. I agree with you. I think this is things, and like, to everyone saying like, well, petitions don't do anything, whatever else, like, this stuff happens. Like, people are already like, I don't necessarily believe this, but like, the whole idea of like, did Adam Driver do this on purpose? Is he trying to pull a Ryan Reynolds with the Deadpool leaked footage thing? Like, this happens. They'll do something either accidentally or, in this case, very open and honestly, and it, seeds that public support, and then the studio caves. Like, this is not unprecedented by any means.
No.
So, like I said, I could talk about this all night, but we got a couple of things. We got a couple other things to get to. We'll save it for. We'll give an update next week. We have Star Wars Visions coming up next week. We'll have something else to preoccupy ourselves. But in the meantime, I do want to bring up. I want to bring up this quote. Switching gears over to, there's other things happening. Let's talk about a movie that's actually happening, The Mandalorian and Grogu, and something, again, an actor being very open and honest. Jeremy Allen White out there. Mind you, Lucasfilm has been very, very tight-lipped about Road to the Hutt and The Mandalorian and Grogu. They have not confirmed that is the case. But guess who just confirmed that it is indeed Road to the Hutt? Jeremy Allen White himself, who's been doing the press circuit for his new Springsteen movie. And he just straight up, like, it was on Graham Norton the other day, and Graham Norton was like, so yeah, you're playing the son of Jabba the Hutt. And he's like, yeah. So this is the quote. He says, I can't say too much about it. It's kind of like him and the Mandalorian running around for a lot of the movie together. Rhoda can move quickly. Rhoda's got the moves. He can move around quickly, and also it's going to be a buddy cop movie with Din and Grogu. This is what I'm taking away from this.
I'm trying to imagine what that would look like of Rhoda moving quickly, like a snake.
Because Hutts don't do that. They're like snake dudes, like they're big fat snake dudes. How does he move quickly?
They're slugs, right? That's kind of what they're modeled after. Slugs are definitely not known for moving quickly. So, unless this is metaphorical and it's like, oh, Rhoda reacts to political intrigue quickly.
What if he has like a scooter or something? What if he has like a, just something he jumps on and he can kind of fly around in that kind of gets him around quickly?
That kind of makes sense. But also, if that was the case, I'm shocked that wouldn't be in the trailer, because that sounds like something that would be really perfect for a trailer, would be seeing a Hut flying around on a scooter.
That's true, but I think they're holding back, and that's why I keep telling people, because people are like, oh, the trailer wasn't what I wanted to be. I'm like, they're holding back on us, like clearly. I think clearly Road to the Hut is going to be a big part of this movie, and we only got one shot of him in this trailer. They're holding back. There's stuff that they have not shown us, and I think there's large portions of it. I would hazard a guess to say that we've probably seen footage for maybe the first like 30 minutes of the movie, probably. So there's a lot. Even if the movie is relatively short, I don't know, 90 minutes even, like it's still, there's a lot there. So but yeah, we know, I'm glad to see Jeremy Allen White is out there talking about this stuff and confirming that yes, he is indeed playing Rhoda, and that he's gonna be all up in that place.
Yeah, I did not even realize that was not confirmed with the amount of certainty we've been talking about it, with all the reports about it. I did not even realize no one had officially confirmed that. I just thought we all knew that.
Yeah, I think StarWars.com did something, and they were like, "Ooh, look, there's a Hut." Blah, blah, blah. Like they haven't said anything really.
Wow.
So
that's funny.
It's hilarious. Lucasfilm and their secrecy, and it got spoiled. And I'm sure, don't be too hard on Jeremy Allen White, Lucasfilm, please. Don't be too hard on him, okay? He's just they're just asking him questions, and he's just talking about the thing that literally everybody knew already. Like, he's not saying anything we didn't already know. He's just confirming it.
Oh my gosh!
So he's saying something you should have said.
Oh, imagine if there's if Jabba the Hutt comes back and is in a black suit and then has to say, "No, Rata, I am your father," and it's all ruined because of all the people talking about this. Rota doesn't actually know who his father is.
Yeah, that would be. Oh man, can you imagine? Or maybe Rhoda is worshiping a Jabba's skull or something, like Kylo Ren in The Force Awakens.
What does a Hutt skull look like? Have we seen a Hutt skull?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of something that's equivalent to the Darth Vader mask, and that's the best I got.
I mean, that's actually really interesting. Like, what is going on inside there? Like, what is the skeleton of a Hutt actually look like? Is it really tiny? Or is it Hutt size? I want to know.
Yeah. I do not know. I'm very, very curious. Very curious to see how they handled that. You know what? We started the night with perhaps the most consequential piece of Star Wars news in quite some time. So I see no better reason to end it with the least consequential piece of Star Wars news possibly ever. But it made me laugh and it amused the heck out of me. So we're going to talk about it for a second. Lawrence Fishburne was at New York Comic Con the other week. And as they do, naturally get actors on panels, on red carpets, stuff like this. Naturally, Star Wars being Star Wars, these actors that have not been in Star Wars get asked the question, would you want to roll in Star Wars? And Lawrence Fishburne was asked this question. And his response to this at New York Comic Con was, no, I'm good. Lawrence Fishburne does not want a role in Star Wars. That's the news here. But he goes on and he says, I'm watching everything. I'm watching every Star Wars. I'm in the middle of Rebels right now, and I'm good on the couch with Star Wars. I don't need a lightsaber. I don't need it. End quote. And obviously there's some it's speech to text makes it sound really weird, but yeah.
Who reported on this?
I could have been. I think it was maybe Collider, maybe, or No,
So,
Deadline.
like,
Deadline actually
Deadline.
got this.
Okay, so I have something to say about this then.
Okay, all right.
Is there another franchise where this happens? Like, is there another franchise where it is just an automatic news story just to ask any random actor, do you want to be in this franchise? And then whether they say yes or no, it's a headline. Does this happen anywhere else?
I will say, it does happen, and I read a lot of these interviews, so I know it does happen. It specifically happens a lot, equivalent to Star Wars with the Marvel Universe. I think
that makes sense.
And to further this point, this article from Deadline talks about how he was also asked about a potential Marvel role, which is weird because he's already in the Marvel Universe. He was in Ant-Man and the Wasp, whatever that one of the second one, way back when. But apparently, people are wanting him to play Charles Xavier, Professor X, which I like. I like that idea. Like, I'm not poo-pooing that idea. I think that's cool. I'm not sure what he said about it because I was focused on the Star Wars.
He said he wanted to. I actually saw that.
Okay, yeah, and it makes sense. It makes sense. I think he would be good at it too. But my biggest takeaway from this is that Lawrence Fishburne is watching Star Wars Rebels right now. Can you just picture that? He's on his couch right now watching, I don't know, the Winkathu Job or something. Like one of those last episodes. Like, that's happening right now as we speak. He's at home. And I'm not even assuming that he's watching it with his family or watching it with his kids. He's probably just doing this on his own because he likes Star Wars. And he's just like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need to be in Star Wars. I'm enjoying watching it, which is like the most honest answer you could possibly ask for.
I still think that the meaning that this has to me is that the people that say Star Wars isn't relevant are wrong because of the fact that this is a story. Like, that's what I'm getting out of it. Like, how can you say that Star Wars is dead or not relevant when anytime it's brought up in any context at all, it becomes a news story? This is not a news story, and yet it is a news story because of the relevancy, because people find it interesting, because Star Wars isn't dead. Like, that's kind of what I see from this. To me, Lawrence Fishburne is Morpheus from The Matrix. I haven't seen a whole lot of things other than that he is in. I forgot he was in Ant-Man until you mentioned it. I did watch that movie. I don't remember anything about that movie at all. Other than that, Paul Rudd was in it. That's all I remember. I don't remember a single other actor in it at the moment. So that's interesting that we're still having these stories, because I remember, like, back when, like, they were making the Star Wars sequels, this was a very common story of, like, an actor being asked, oh, are you gonna be in the Star Wars sequels? Do you want to be in the Star Wars sequels? And it's like there was a story like every week of some random person being asked about it, like Benedict Cumberbatch or like someone like that. Like, it's just constant talk about that. So it's interesting that that's kind of coming back. That's really interesting. That's what's interesting to me.
Yeah, what's funny about what's kind of funny, what's also kind of sad, people need to stop doing this, is that you will have someone on a red carpet and the interviewer asks them, do you want to be in Star Wars? And they're like this happened very recently with Jared Leto. Someone asked Jared Leto,
oh dear,
would you like to be in Star Wars, blah blah blah, and of course he said yes, because most actors are like, up on that. Of course, Jared Leto, being with his reputation, people are like, no, and then people will go out of their way to say, like, well, why are they begging to be enrolled in Star Wars? Like, are they desperate? I'm like, they're just answering a question that was thrown at them on a red carpet. Like, they're not campaigning for a role in Star Wars. They just answered a damn question. Lay off of them.
Would I watch a Star Wars movie with Jared Leto in it? That's a very good question.
I don't even want to entertain the idea. I don't even want to go there. I don't even want to will it into existence.
Oh, dear goodness gracious.
That is scary. That's a scary thought. Let's not go there.
I would have to see it without paying for it. I think that's what it comes down to, because that's how I feel about Tron.
I think
somebody else has to buy it. And
good old we'd have to get our pirate's hat on for that one. No, maybe not. I don't know. Let's just assume that doesn't never happen, especially after. So you can only have so many box office bombs before you get kicked out of Hollywood for a while. So who knows? Good luck to you, Mr. Leto.
Not him.
You're gonna need it.
He's like something that survives nuclear apocalypse.
The thing that won't go away.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Okay, so we got a couple questions here. I do want to at least get to one here because it was sent in by our good friend, Mr. Jesse Bennett, who sent in a very apt and very it was just literally a little while ago. You're lucky I was watching the Discord, Jesse. Otherwise, I might have missed this one. Jesse says, "Hey SWU, it's been a while since I've presented a question, so let's see if I still have what it takes to offer up a good question. With this petition that the Ben Hart, the Star Wars gent, has started, currently at 248 signatures. Actually, Jesse, it's over 250 now, for the record. Signatures as the time of writing. What other characters in the universe would you like to see get their own movie, and what do you think their story could be?" So, huge question. Obviously, I mean, technically speaking, this Ben Solo movie would have been like another standalone spin-off. You could say a solo Star Wars story, about another solo guy. But I don't know. Do you have an answer to this, Chris? Because I need to think about this one.
You need to think about this? Wait, the question is, what Star Wars characters should get a Star Wars movie? Did I hear that right?
Yes.
Okay. Quinlan Voss, Aura Singh,
all right, fair enough.
Mara Jade, Boba Fett, just to name a few.
I should have seen that coming. I
just named all my favorite characters. That's very easy.
I mean, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. All right, I'll take it. And I don't want to say Ben Solo because that's the low hanging fruit here. Okay, we're working on that one. Okay, let's just assume that's gonna happen. We don't have to worry about that. Damn. Related to this, give Kira a movie. Good Lord.
Yes. Yes.
I've always like Solo 2, as they call it. Like, it doesn't have to be a continuation of that. It doesn't have to be like a Han Solo movie again. It can be, what are the other characters doing? And Kira is like one of the most interesting, one of the most fascinating characters to come out of this new era. And obviously, again, you have immense talent of Emilia Clarke just sitting there going to waste. Like, come on, like do something with her. Like, you have an incredible character played by an incredible actress. Use her.
I mean, if Kira is not in the Darth Maul show, I'm gonna be very upset. Like
that, you're right. That is, and I don't want to say anything because I know it's not going to happen. And I'm going to be disappointed, so I'm going to try to really temper my expectations. But that feels like a given, does it not?
I mean, I will give them like a season without her, assuming like as long as there's a season 2, like no Plagueis Acolyte stuff where they're like, we're saving all the best stuff for season 2 and then it never happens. Like, they do not do that. But if there's going to be multiple seasons, they are allowed to establish things earlier in the timeline before Kira comes in. Like, that's because I think the show, doesn't that take place a little bit too early for her initially to be involved in it in that Crimson Dawn capacity? Am I right about that?
I think so. I think the timeline's a little closer to Solo. Solo's about 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, I think. So it's kind of in the middle.
It's in the middle. So she might still be running around with Han, potentially. And that.
But I mean, Maul Shadow Lord could jump around. We don't know for
yeah,
sure.
if it move once they move forward in it, because I like most of the Star Wars animated shows do jump a few years, like go through. They take place over several years. So I would think at some point it's going to catch up and get close to Solo, and if it does, which I assume it will, then at some point Kira will have joined Crimson Dawn, and then at that point you have to bring Crimson Dawn into it. Obviously, like I assume that's the point of the show.
Right.
So you have to bring Kira into that. So like maybe season 2, season 3, it really just depends on how they do, like how quickly they move forward. Like, are they going to do like an Andor thing where it's like, every few episodes, every arc, they're jumping a year, or are they going to take their time a little bit more slowly, like Bad Batch? I don't know. But yeah, it's like she has to be in it. Emilia Clarke has to voice her, and then please conclude that story with a live action finale movie that actually stars Emilia Clarke in it, and then has a live action Maul. Who I'm trying to remember. Did they bring Ray Park back for Solo Maul? Right, they did. Right.
Yes, he did play. He played the body of Maul again. Yes.
Yeah. So bring Ray Park back, and Emilia Clarke, and then do a sequel to both Solo and the Maul show, and have the Maul story and the Kira story combine into a movie. Like that I think is the way to do it. And if you don't do that, you have no faith in your own characters. That's what I think.
This is true. So yeah, more Solo movies, guys. More Solo movies. Kira Solo, Han Solo, Ben Solo, get them all in there. Yeah, great question, Jesse. Glad to hear from you, buddy. Let's do one more really quick. Well, it'll probably be another, who knows, depends on the question. And Gilster 10, who sends us this one, it could be a doozy, so here we go. After watching Tales of the Jedi, we see Dooku furious over Maul killing Qui-Gon and having his loyalties questioned. Fast forward to Son of Dathomir, where Maul is captured and even teams up with Dooku against the Jedi. Yet Dooku never confronts Maul about Qui-Gon's death or how it shaped his path. Was this a missed opportunity by the writers, or was Qui-Gon simply an afterthought once Dooku fully joined Sidious? I know parts of Son of Dathomir were changed, like Quinlan Voss's involvement and the shortened second Battle of Dathomir, but still interesting to look back on. It makes me wish it was animated with season 7. So I do, to comment on this, I do really like the sort of retcon. I guess maybe it was present in the EU, but the idea that Dooku and Maul were working simultaneously, and just like the idea that Dooku was already working with Sidious at the time of the Phantom Menace. He was already in his good graces, and that conflict of interest of like Dooku signing up with Sidious and then like Sidious orchestrating essentially the murder of Qui-Gon. Pretty wild. And obviously any further exploration of that would have been fascinating. Like, I love Tales of the Jedi, but like getting further into that, I think would have been really great.
I think that it depends on how Dooku views Maul's role, because Maul never really, I mean, at that point, Maul was a follower. Like, at that point, Maul was like an acolyte-like character. Like, he was a Sith apprentice, but he reminded me more of like Savage Opress and Asajj Ventress. Like, he wasn't really trying to come up with his own schemes at that time. That evolved later. That evolved after he felt betrayed and then he was motivated to go up against Sidious. So at that point, I feel like that anger is a bit misplaced, or then perhaps I'm misremembering it, but he should be mad at Sidious, not Maul, right, for that?
Yeah, I think, and he does kind of confront Sidious about it in Tales of the Jedi, and there is kind of that little bit of conflict. But I think you're right in the sense that the dynamic is more, and I never really thought about this until you just said that, just the idea of you have the Clone Wars, which basically it's Sidious breaking the rule of two, having Dooku as his apprentice and having Maul, having Ventress, and then later Savage for briefly, as the Sith assassin, not technically an apprentice. And then obviously he's like, well, get rid of Ventress because you're gonna train her up to kill me. So that whole dynamic is basically what is present in the Phantom Menace in that era of just like Maul is the attack dog. Maul is the apprentice, and he has been trained, and obviously Dooku's coming in after that. But I think the general consensus is like Dooku will be the public face. He'll be the political leader. He'll be the someone that can do that, and do everything that he's going to end up doing in the Clone Wars. Versus what Maul is just like in the shadows, literally killing people. So yeah, I mean, I really like Son of Dathomir comic is great. It's really cool. And ultimately, I would. It's one of those arcs that I'm like, I really wish they had animated it. I wish they had done that. It's full justice and gotten more into that because I think the dynamic. And then you have Maul showing up and be like, this Sith pretender Dooku. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. The idea that Dooku that Maul is jealous of Dooku and thinks he's a pretender and all this kind of stuff. It's the machinations of the Sith and the infighting. I know Dooku's not around anymore, but maybe Maul Shadow Lord will get in more into that. We'll see.
That could be interesting. He could at least mention it in passing, which would be interesting. I think that's my answer. It's like I think most of the feelings would be placed on Sidious and not Maul. So that's why probably Dooku didn't bring it up to Maul, because Maul was just probably following orders.
Right. Yeah. So that's really interesting. And I almost forgot we have a super chat from our good buddy Joel Davis. I forgot about you for a hot minute, but we weren't going to forget about you, Joel.
I did not.
Yeah. So Joel sent us in a $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Joel, for your generosity. And Joel says, let's also keep in mind, this is getting back to the Bob Iger chat. Let's also keep in mind, it's not like the next CEO is going to be better. That's corporate executive culture across the board, especially by Disney. And cynically, the cynical side of my brain says you are probably correct, Joel, that these are CEOs, they're sitting on a pile of money and things, but we can hope for better. I know a lot of talk is being talked about who's going to take over, and it was Josh D'Amaro, I think, is one of the guys. I think one thing that I heard that it was another person they were going to do like a co-CEO with Disney. That's Josh D'Amaro and someone else were going to step in to kind of fill that role. Well, they had the two Bobs there for a minute, so maybe they're just going to try that again, except people not named Bob. But it should be interesting because I think Bob, you've heard your vote of no confidence, okay? Your rule is at an end, sir, and I think it's time for you to just step out and green light the hunt for Ben Solo on your way out, sir. Good sir, if you don't mind, thank you.
100%. And I think it's Bob's job to make money. Like that's what the CEO's job is, to hold a vision for the company that makes the most amount of money and organizes people in that regard. And so if he is mistaken, which we believe he is, that this film would actually make a lot of money and make a lot of people happy, both employ people who make it and give some money to Bob, who's a very large shareholder himself of Disney, and then of course make all the fans happy for getting some really great content. I think we just have to continue being vocal about that, and the petition is a great start to that. We just need to keep bringing it up, and hopefully bring it up in context where we can directly, again, in like interviews, mention this to people, various people at Disney, keep it in the news, and just let them know, hey, there's interest in this. And so that, whatever concept that he has in his mind or the future CEO has in their mind that this idea is not going to make money, that is dispelled. Like, I think that's kind of unfortunately, sometimes the burden is on the fans to correct any misconceptions about what will be successful and what won't be.
Yes, and the only other thing I want to say on this before we close tonight is obviously seeing a lot of sadness, a lot of anger online right now, rightfully so, for people that were really banging on this drum about Ben Solo and their love for that character for so many years now. It's painful. It's painful. I mean, that was my next thought after thinking this is real. This is a thing that happened. Is crap. This is really cool, and it really sucks that this is not happening. Like, it's kind of really devastating news to hear. But I do want to encourage everyone, just like, yes, a petition. As the person who created that stupid petition, I'm the first to admit it's probably not going to do a bit of good. It's probably petitions are in this sense, online petitions are a bit ridiculous. I will admit that. But all this talk, all of this campaigning, yes, even the person who ordered that sky billboard, it's a way for us to express how much we love these characters and how much we love the sequel trilogy. And also, in a way, even if you didn't like the sequel trilogy, it's a way for you to kind of stay in Lucasfilm's corner and stick up for them and go like, Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni, Adam Driver, all you guys, I appreciate your effort, and I want you to have autonomy in greenlighting this and making movies that you want to make and not be beholden to people like Bob Iger, who don't know what the hell they're doing. So I hope that we can keep this up. Don't be downtrodden. Don't be negative about it. Turn this into something positive. Because a lot of people out there are going like, as they always have, oh, nobody likes sequels. The sequels, they don't have any fans. Everybody hates those movies. Retcon those movies. Dave Filoni, he's clearly going to retcon the sequels with the Mandoverse, blah, 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 which clearly isn't happening, but don't tell them. I think now is the time to like, okay, this is obviously not the case. The sequel trilogy has its fans, and you need to speak up now. Say your piece, and don't be shy about it, because there was a time when nobody liked the prequel trilogy. No, that was ridiculous. You like the Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith? No, ridiculous. We're just awful. Nobody likes those movies. Well, now we're living in the golden age of things. So that same reality can be said for the sequel trilogy, if we just don't shut up about it.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. Continue to talk about what we've gotten so far, and then talk about what we want in the future. All right. So I think that'll wrap up the show. Thank you, everybody, for watching, for listening. Thanks to Dominic Jones for showing up for that amazing rant at the beginning of the show. If you joined us late, please go back and listen to the beginning of the show. We didn't do any plugs. We literally just went right into
We did. We missed the plug. And
yeah,
nobody missed them.
We're going to do it now, but we felt it was more important to use that time for Dominic to rant. And so please check that out. That was a fantastic like 5 to 15 minutes. It was like long. I don't even know how long it was. It was an amazing rant. Check it out. So thanks for Dom for that. Of course, check him out on social media, Dominic J25. Ben, thank you so much for hosting too and pulling everything together. At Ben Hart with no E.
You got it. And yes, do me a solid. Do me a solid. Go sign that stupid petition. Go sign it. Go sign it. It could reach 3,000 by tomorrow. Just saying. I'm just saying, and it's going up steady. And it could easily just drop off at things, but like it's grown more so than I ever would have imagined, and I appreciate everyone for humoring me and also like genuinely supporting the idea. And I don't know. I don't know. You never know. You just got to put your best foot forward and put it out there and see what happens. And not saying the Hunt for Ben Solo will get greenlit, but maybe something else will come of it. Maybe an unintended consequence will happen, and if we just keep our minds to it. So yeah, don't know what next week's gonna hold, but other than Star Wars Visions, but keep on it, guys, and we'll talk to you next week.
Definitely. If you're not subscribed to us and you're watching us on YouTube, punch that subscribe button. Same thing if you're just listening to us on a podcast app, please subscribe and leave a review. If you're subbed to the Star Wars Underworld Network on YouTube or anywhere else, check out on this feed the other network stuff, Ion Cannon and Tractor Beam. And then over on Hannah's channel, check out the Raeside and check out Tales from Beyond the Galaxy over on their channel as well. Make sure you follow us at the SWU on social media, and you check out the description of this show to find the link to join our Discord server. What do we got going on tomorrow night, Friday night, Ben?
Tomorrow night, as of recording this on Friday nights, which is we usually do stuff. We do some other nights too. You never know. But Friday night, we've been doing a lot of D&D, but now we're going back to the old school game night. So come by for Fortnite, and I think some Battlefield we're going to be playing, and who knows what else. Like, literally, just bring your games. Just bring your games. We'll play it with you. We don't care. Or we'll watch you play. It doesn't matter. We'll do it all.
Wait, Battlefield, the game that copied Star Wars with real life.
Oh yeah, that rip-off game.
The rip-off of Battlefront, Battlefield. Oh, that's funny. Actually, that's kind of funny. So make sure you check that out. Link is in the description. All right, that's it. We'll be back next week for another show. Until then, for Ben and Dom, my name is Chris, and may the Force be with you. It's a wrap.